Check your blues, put on your dancing moves. No time to waste. Oh, ready, set, and go. Yay, fire up the show. Oh, ready, set, and go. Let the good times roll.
Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Same Bet. And I really mean that. Welcome back, because last night was a scheduled night, but we had some conflicts. We couldn't get it done. So here we are tonight on a Tuesday night, and I'm very happy to have Jacob Bittner from Wager Me This as our special guest. You know, sports betting has become a very popular activity across the United States. In fact, 30 states have either sports betting in place or legislation in place or that will be enacted soon. So it's just exploded, I'd say, in the last couple of years. Florida was one of the most recent states to enact some legislation so they could do sports betting. But I believe it was late last week, something happened, and they've actually had to pull things back. So they were going to get real dice, and they were going to get real craps, and they were going to get sports betting. But there's been a pause put on that, and hopefully they'll get that all worked out pretty soon. But Florida aside, it's very popular everywhere else. And we're going to have Jacob talking to us a little bit about it. I do have one question for everybody that's in the audience. Last couple of shows, I've had some problems with my microphone. Can you guys hear me okay? If you can, would somebody just leave me a comment, and I'll adjust it if we need to. All right, let's go ahead and bring Jacob in. Jacob, welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody.
So also, let me know if Jacob... Yeah. So also, if you guys can't hear Jacob, let me know that too, and I can make some adjustments on my side. And just to let everybody know, Jacob is out in the wild today, so you might hear some background noise, and just ignore that and move on. All right, Googs is saying we're good.
We love Googs.
Yeah, we do. All right, so Jacob, let's talk a little bit about sports. You know, a year ago when I had you on my channel, we talked about roulette. I'm sorry, we talked about craps, not roulette. And you started telling me that you were going to be doing more with sports betting. And over the year, you've done quite a bit with it. In fact, I think it's a pretty good chunk of your channel right now. I was browsing through your channel videos, and it seems like, maybe a couple of times a week, you do maybe a 15, 30-second little short saying, hey, here's the bet for tonight, and or this weekend, or whatever it might be. So you've got a good balance of craps and sports betting going on your channel. So tonight, I really want to talk about the sports side of things. And I'm a novice. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm saying to you here. So that's probably going to come out in this interview. So I'd like to start with something simple. Like, how do you even make a bet?
Okay. Well, basically, sports betting comes down to just one thing, right? What do you like? Okay, so you can go to the casino and you can say, I want to bet on the Los Angeles Lakers to win. And there's going to be odds for them to just win the game. All right? And so that's really what it is. Now, as you open it up deeper, you can say, okay, I think the Los Angeles Lakers will win by 5. And your odds will get a little better. You can say, I think the Los Angeles Lakers will win by 5 and hold the other team under 90 points, and your odds are going to keep getting better. And so there's basically anything you can think of in sports, there's probably a bet for it. Now, not every casino and not every website will have them, but they'll be somewhere. And if you can go to a casino and make the bet, you can just walk up to the table, and some of them will be able to handicap you, not all of them.
So
basically, you can bet on anything.
Okay. So there's basically two ways. You can either bet online or bet in a casino.
Yes. Well, there's the third way too, but they don't usually like you to talk about it.
Okay. So we'll stick to the two. Now, if I understand it right, some of the states will only offer in the casino. Some of them will only offer mobile. Okay. So that is true. I've tried to do some research, but you know how it is on the internet. What's true and what's not true, I don't know. So we're going to
Right.
figure this out together. All right. So we've got websites like FanDuel or gosh, I can't even. The names escape me. But there's a
DraftKings.
DraftKings. Now, when you're betting with FanDuel and DraftKings, if you're doing it online, if you're not in a state where it's legal, will it still let you make the bet?
No. They have a location tracker that you have to pass every time you log on.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
like, if I drive to the Mississippi line and cross it, I can get on my DraftKings account and bet all I want. But the second I come back into Arkansas, it won't let me bet. It'll still let me look at everything, but
Okay.
it won't let me bet.
Now, in
Now,
Arkansas,
Arkansas will eventually legalize it.
and it's legal in the casinos in Arkansas, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
But COVID stopped it from being legal online here. That once they go into session in this state, it's going to get passed.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately for me, Kansas is not legal, and
Yeah, Kansas is a weird one.
yeah, and I don't think it's going to be legal for some time. At least that's the
No.
rumor.
And Kansas has plenty of casinos. It's not like they don't have a bunch of casinos. They do.
Yeah. Yeah. And same with Oklahoma. Oklahoma doesn't allow it either. You know, I've got 66 casinos just a few hours south of me, and it doesn't do me any good. All right,
Yeah.
so you started to talk a little bit about the different kind of bets, and I was hoping that you could explain some. So there's 4 of them that I was researching. One called the money line.
Okay.
So what do they mean by the money line?
Okay, so every bet ever is a money line bet. Every single bet ever. Now, they may be a money line bet that's attached to an ATS, like a spread. But so if you look at any bet sheet, you look in the paper, go online, go any website, there's going to be a little spot that says like minus 110 or minus 150 or plus 200. That's the money line. What that's telling you, it's based on $100. What it's saying is if you bet, it's to either win $100 or you have to bet $100 to win that amount. So if it's a plus, you bet $100. Let's say it's plus 200. You
Okay.
bet $100 to win 200. So you would get your $100 back plus 200 more. Now, if it's minus 110, it means you have to bet $110 to return 100. So if you bet $110 on a minus 110 bet, when you cash it in, they're going to give you 210. They're going to give you your initial 110 and then your 100 you won. So that's what the money line is. It's how Vegas, it's how the handicapper gets their edge. It's the house edge, essentially.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that here in a couple of minutes. Now, I noticed there's some questions coming in through the chat. Hold on to those questions, guys, because we are going to do a Q&A here towards the end of this show. So keep putting those questions out there, and I'll try to grab some of them, and we'll talk about it here in a minute. All right, so you just described the money line, and I think you started to talk a little bit about overs and unders. So is that a different type of bet?
Okay, so the over and under is, so when you say over and under, you're talking about what it takes to satisfy that bet. So if they're going to put out a number, so let's say it's an NFL game and they put out the number 48, and you can either choose that the total points between the two teams will add up to over 48 or under 48, but there's still going to be a money line attached to it. That's how you bet it. So it's going to be over or under 48 at minus 110. So you're still going to have to bet the 110 to win 100, and then you're going to choose either over or you're going to choose under. And so if you win, you're going to win whatever the money line says you're going to win. But that's how you win. So the number would have to get combined score over 48 to win the over, or if it went under and you bet the under, you'd win that way. And so
Okay.
it's essentially the most coin flippy bet in all of sports betting. The over and under, it's essentially a coin flip. Now,
So-
obviously, you can do research to skew it one way or the other. Like you can say, well, these two teams usually score a lot, or these two teams usually don't score a lot. And there's ways to figure out if that number is too high or too low that Vegas has put out.
So that's actually another topic that I wanted to talk about. So hold on to that thought for a second. We'll come back to it. Now, you can parlay your bets here too.
Yes.
Now, I understand parlaying bets and craps. How does parlay bets work with sports betting?
Okay, so parlay in sports betting is simple. You take two separate bets or more. Let's just go with two. You take two bets. Let's say you want the New York Giants to win by 3, and you think it's going to go over 48. So the way you win the bet is both things have to happen. So that's what makes it a parlay. So the New York Giants have to win by 4 points. You know, if you're -3 to win the bet, you have to win by at least 4. And then the over, let's say it goes over that 48. If you hit both things, you win. If you only hit one of them, you lose. So if you hit, obviously you don't hit either of them, you lose 2. But that parlay is still going to have a money line attached to it. Again, but a lot of times they'll say it's 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 odds. So when you parlay things, when you make it to where you have to win more than one bet to win a bet, so you have more than one satisfaction of, you know, so it's a 2-pick, you have to satisfy 2 bets to win 1 bet.
Gotcha.
And so but you'll get better odds. So like on a 2-pick,
that's what I was going to ask. So with the parlay bet, you're getting better odds because it's a more risky bet? Okay.
Because it's more risk, right? So you're going to get like maybe on a 2-pick like 2.8 to 1, maybe 3 to 1 if it's a really risky one. But so that's why a lot of people like them, because you get a big return. But the problem is you have to win both sides of it. And people, honestly, and I'm going to put this out there, and I'm going to say this many times in this video, don't bet parlays. If you want to be a successful sports bettor, don't bet parlays. Just don't do it. If you can keep parlays all the way out of your sports betting, you'll do way better in the long run. Because the reason Vegas does that is like everything else where they put big odds on, right? They want you to bet the 12 in craps. They want you to. They want you to put money on it all day long.
Yeah.
Because then look, 30 to 1. It's the same thing with the parlay. They're putting out that pretty number saying, hey, bet this. Look, you can win all this extra, getting good odds. Well, you're not, because you got to win all those bets when you could bet them individually. So, for example, on a 2-pick, if you bet it and you go 50%, you lose. But if you bet them individually and you go 50%, you probably break even or really close to it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So parlay bets, would you consider those prop bets?
No, prop bets are generally you're betting on a very specific thing to happen. So it could be a player prop, it could be a game prop. There's a lot of different kinds of props, but let's say player props is what a lot of people like, right? So you're betting on Aaron Rodgers to throw 3 touchdowns in the game. So there will be a spread on it. It'll say over 2.5 or under 2.5, and it'll give you a money line odds on it. So you're saying, okay, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to throw over 2.5 touchdowns. So if he throws 3 touchdowns in the game, you win the bet. So it's a very specific bet to a specific player or a specific situation. Like you can bet on the coin toss. It's a prop bet. Say it's going to be heads or tails. I mean, you can bet on if the game goes into overtime. You can bet on if there will be 5 sacks in the game. I mean, so those are all it's very specific instances inside of a sports competition.
Yeah, so like a prop bet in craps, generally people tell you don't play the prop bets. But a prop bet in sports betting doesn't necessarily mean it's bad odds. It might be a good bet.
Bets.
You should bet prop bets. Okay.
Yeah, well, because they're consistent bets, right? So you get a quarterback, and let's use the quarterbacks people know, right? Your Tom Brady's, your Aaron Rodgers'. If you look at their history, they throw 3 touchdowns a game on average, right? That's their average. So you're looking at this average over 20 years, and it's 3, and the spread is 2.5. So if you bet that every week that he's going to throw that 3 touchdowns every week, if you would have bet Brady every week, I think you're like 9-2 or something like that for him to throw 3 touchdowns this year. So if you did, so yes, prop bets are good bets because you can really research them. There's a lot of research, especially in professional sports, where you're seeing, okay, hey, this guy, he averages catching the ball 5 times a game, and the spread is 3.5. So there's value there. You're like, okay, so by his average, I got a catch and a half over what they're saying. And so that's how you find angles. You just have to do the research. Sports betting is a lot about research, and it's a lot about trusting statistics. You have to be able to trust the statistics to use math to sports bet. Now, you don't have to use math to sports bet, but it's a lot harder. If you use the statistics that are consistent year in and year out, and once you figure out how to read them and how to gain the edges, gain the angles, gain the advantage, as people call it, that's where the advantage comes in, is understanding the statistics and learning how to use them.
Okay. Jacob, I'm going to, Arnell, the dice grinder, he just asked a question that I was about to ask, so I'm going to pull this one up real quick. Is there a minimum bet when making sports bets?
Okay, so that's a tricky question. If you go to online websites, a lot of them are $1, minimum of $1, sometimes even less. At a casino, if you go to the, because they all have like a kiosk, you go to the kiosk, so it's kind of like online gambling even at the casino, right? You go in there and you pick, and I think even then, I think it's like casino limits, right? It's going to be posted on there. So I've seen some that are $5, and I've seen them down to $1. I've even seen them at $100 before. The kiosk saying this only takes $100 and over bets, but no, most places you can get it all the way down to $1, especially online. Like I know DraftKings, I know they'll take $1 bet.
Okay.
So I mean,
well, I know,
and that's a good way to get started.
I know I said I was going to wait and do a Q&A, but some of these questions that are coming in are pretty relevant. Let's see. So, John, ProCraps, where is it safe to bet online? In other words, who do you trust with your credit card? And then follow up,
so
what about cryptocurrencies? Are they legit?
That was a great question because, number one, there are bad websites to gamble on. Absolutely. Terrible websites. But any of them that are based in the United States are governed by the gambling commissions. So they're safe. They can't rip you off. If they do, in fact, FanDuel or one of them got sued for a bunch of money just like last year, and they had to pay out all this money. So they're really safe. The land-based ones here in the United States are safe. Now, there's a whole bunch of offshore ones, and they're touch and go. You got to research them. So one of the good offshore ones that used to not be good, it's good now, is Bet Online. All right, Bet Online used to be a bad one. I had like a $3,600 balance in there, and I tried to pull it out, and they wanted to know my second grade teacher's name and stuff. They were doing everything they could to not give me my money. But they've changed now. That was pre the ones in the United States being open. So once DraftKings and FanDuel took a big hold of the United States market, Bet Online got right. They started. So Bet Online is a safe one if you're in a state that doesn't allow it. They're the most reasonable one. Now, a lot of people like Bovada and Ignition and those ones. I would stay away from them. If I was going to do it and you want to bet on sports and you want to use one, you have to use one that's not here. Use Bet Online. Speaking of the Bitcoin, okay, so most of them will accept Bitcoin, and it's a very good way to do it. And I'll explain to you why. Because when you use Bitcoin on a foreign site, not the ones here in the United States, just use American dollars here. But on a foreign site, when you use Bitcoin, you're kind of skirting the rules, right? You're kind of skirting it because when they repay you in Bitcoin, so Bitcoin doesn't have a home base, right? Bitcoin's just in the air.
Yeah.
So you're essentially kind of breaking the law almost a little bit. And I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but the reason that like Bet Online doesn't like to pay you in dollars is because now it's a taxable thing, right? You made income. And so if they pay you in Bitcoin, it's not the same thing anymore, right? There's a gray area there. So they do like it. When you want to use the offshore ones, they like you to use Bitcoin. They like you to use crypto. You can just translate it right into a crypto wallet. Usually, that's what I do with mine. So mine goes straight from my Bitcoin winnings to Coinbase. It just goes like that.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's go back to one of the topics that you started to talk about. And how do you, well, before I get to that, talk to me a little bit about what sports do you bet on? We've got a slew of sports out there. Do you bet on all of them, or do you have a favorite? Well,
I only really actually believe that I'm good at the NFL. I don't believe I'm good at any of the other ones. Now, I've put 18 years of experience into the NFL and 18 years of development into my model and stuff. So now I have spread out last year into baseball, and I actually did great. And Googs can attest to this. I think when I stopped giving out baseball bets, I had like 90-something wins to 70-something losses, which is actually really good for a guy's first year putting them out there. So I am going to delve into baseball this year too. I'm going to fully, once football ends, I'm going to apply myself to the baseball season and go with it because I trust myself enough now, and I've built some more into that model that I'm going to have a second sport. But as of right now, I really am only an NFL handicapper. I don't even really handicap college because college it's about variance. Okay, so variance, like in craps, right? You have a specific variance that the game sticks to. Well, the NFL does. All right, the best team in the NFL is only about 20 or 21 points better than the worst team. Now, that doesn't mean they won't win by more sometimes, but if you played 100 times, it's roughly going to be about 21-point spread. In college football, it's 65 points from the best to the worst. So that variance is so much larger, right? So in the NFL, they're all pros, they're all good, and so it's easier to find those edges and to find those small edges that are going to stay true. They're going to stay consistent. Where you don't have, and I know people say there's upsets all the time in the NFL. Well, they're not really upsets, right? Because they're all pros. So once you don't look at it like an upset and you look at it more like, okay, where's the angle here? Because a lot of times my model will tell me that the team that's getting points that's considered the underdog is the team that should win the game. So my model's not saying they're an underdog. It's not saying it's an upset. And so that's what it is. You're just finding them edges, small variance. Here's a fact. This is a fact, and you can check on it. The NFL is the most consistent market in the world. It's more consistent than gold. It's more consistent than any commodity. It's more consistent than any stock. And the reason being is because the same level of players make the same plays, do the repeated thing year in and year out all the time. The deviation in what they do is so small that the same results repeat over and over and over. And I mean, it's a documented thing. It's the most consistent model in the world.
Yeah.
The most consistent market.
Craps Master Journey out there just put a comment out there. And there's a lot more teams in college. So that probably pays.
It just makes the variance bigger.
Yeah.
It's like when you're playing crapsless versus normal craps, right? There's 4 more numbers that essentially you can place. So the variance is much larger in crapsless craps, right?
Oops. So, talking a little bit about the tools, you on your website, you have at wagermethis.com, you actually have a downloadable spreadsheet that I was hoping you could maybe talk us through real quick. Let me see if I can pull it up real fast.
Yeah, pull it up there. It's a very easy model to use once you know how to use it. You just have to trust it. Okay, so scroll. Hold on, probably me. Okay, so right there, it's exactly what it says. You got the teams on the left. You got the points for, the points against, the pass yards a game, rush yards a game. That's offense. The total QBR for the quarterback. The defensive statistics, so what they give up per game, pass and run, and then the turnover margin. Okay, so I get every one of these statistics per team off a website called Pro Football Reference. Pro Football Reference is the best website for sports. It has everything. And so what happens is, see, as you can tell on the top, these are all weighted. They're all weighted.
Hey, Jacob, real quick, is that profootballreference.com or do you know?
Yes, profootballreference.com.
I'm just putting that in the chat for anybody who wants to check it out.
And that's where I get all my statistics on here. And they're all on one sheet. You just scroll down, pick them out. It's not hard. And so when you put all these numbers in, you get a power ranking out here on the end. This minus 0.15 and this minus 5.045. So what that's telling you right there is that the Denver Broncos are 5 points better than the New York Jets. So then if the spread was Denver -3, you would take Denver because the model says you have 2 points of value, right? So they're actually 2 points better than what Vegas is saying. Now, if the spread was 7, you'd take the Jets because you'd have the 2 points the other way. You understand what I'm saying?
I think so, yeah.
So that's how this
simple
model
little
works.
Yeah, simple little model.
So scroll down.
Takes seconds to fill it in.
So to see this next one, these are plus numbers. So all that matters here is the separation. All right. So when they're negative numbers, realize they're negative numbers. So it's not, the Jets ain't 5 points better on that top one, right?
Yeah.
So right here, Kansas City is roughly 4 points better than New England in this game. And
Okay.
these games I think are from last year on here.
Yeah,
or 2 years
they
ago,
are.
maybe.
Yeah, they are.
So, but as you can tell, I think Kansas City won that game by like 4 points or something. The model, it hits dead on a lot, very regularly. But so that's all it is. It's just using statistics to give you an edge, all right, to actually tell you the truth, what these teams do in week after week after week after week, because these are all averages.
Yeah, so anybody that's interested, that spreadsheet is available out on your website at wagermethis.com. And if you go out here and scroll down just a little ways, there's going to be a couple of links. There we go. So you can get it in a spreadsheet format or like a Microsoft Word document.
No, that's a different thing. That's something you can use because it's hard kind of to look at the website that you're getting the information from and put it in at the same time. So that's actually something you can write all the information down and then just go enter it all in the model off paper.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, so that's a pretty nice thing that you're sharing with everybody.
I give it away, man.
In addition to giving people the means to do it themselves, you also do your own picks.
I do.
And quite often you're going to, I hear you all the time, guys, go bet on this one tonight. And you do that as well. But you also have a service that I was hoping you might talk a little bit about. Scroll back up here to the top, your NFL picks. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I did that for the first time this year. Last year I gave everything out for free. And this year I charged at the beginning of the year a yearly fee, or you could do it through subscriptions on YouTube. I'm not going to do that again. After this football season, the subscription on YouTube thing I'm not going to do that. It's too difficult to deal with the YouTube side of it. Where the one you buy through my website, it's just purely through Square. So, but anyway, so you can purchase the whole year. And next year I'm going to have it where you can purchase a year, a month, or a week, and that I'm going to have it so it'll be broke down in prices. But basically, you can buy it, and I do the model for you. So you get the model every week. You get a breakdown of every game of my opinions in the game, and there will be like prop bets in there. Like I'll say, I think this guy's going to score a touchdown, or this guy's going to throw an interception. So there will be other stuff in there. And then I was giving out my favorite plays, but now I've just kind of all attached it to the model.
Gotcha.
And so it's kind of all built into one sheet now, because I was giving out 3 sheets and it was way too much work when I was basically already doing it all on the model. So when you get the model from me, you get like each model, and then under it will be a breakdown, and I'll have a thing that says, I like this here. And the next one will say, I like this. And so the model runs 60% every year. And let me talk about that a little bit. Okay, so 60% doesn't sound like a lot, right? The professional sports handicappers struggle to make 60%. Struggle. It's a very difficult thing to do, especially in the NFL. If you win at 57%, you're making money. Anything under 57, from 57 to 53, you're probably breaking even. And anything under 53%, you're losing money. So you have to be able to do at least 53% just to break even.
Yeah.
And then 57% is where you start making money. So if you're at 60%, that's great. You're a pro at that point. And I do consider myself a professional NFL handicapper because I sell my picks. So I mean, at that point I'm professional, right? I'm saying I'm good enough at this that you need to pay me for it.
Awesome, Jacob. All right, so do you mind doing some Q&A with the crowd? There's a couple of comments out here. Let's see what we've got.
Can you move my little face, the little face I have, or is that on my side?
That's on your side.
Because that is kind of in the way of my comments. I can't move it. Oh well, it is what it is.
Here, let
Oh, okay. Never mind. I made it so I could see them.
Okay, so let's start here. Throwing Thunder. Hey, Throwing Thunder, it's been a long time. Glad to see you here on the show. So he's wanting to know who's your pick on Thursday's game.
This Thursday,
Yes.
is it Pittsburgh and
I couldn't tell you. I
can't
have no
remember.
idea. So-
it's I want to say
Thunder, if you're out there, let us know who's playing, and we'll see what he says. All right, let's go to the next one while we're waiting on that. So we got Justin Davis saying, "I wish Alabama could sports bet." Yeah. There's, like I said, there's about 20 states that we can't do it yet, and Alabama is one of them.
Alabama don't want them sports betting because everyone would just bet on Alabama.
Oh, that's actually a great question. Fanboy betting. Can you make any money at it, or do you really need to be smart about this and go with the math?
You should never bet on your favorite team.
Ever.
Never. Because you'll never, ever look at it right. You should. That's one of the things. If you want to gamble on sports, the first thing you got to do is get your heart out of it. If you can get your heart out of it, you can bet on it. Now, if you can't get your heart out of it, let's say you're a Cowboys fan, just don't ever bet on the Cowboys. But it works the other way too, right? You can't bet on the Giants or against the Giants, the Eagles, or the Washington either. So you essentially got to eliminate that whole division because you're going to hate them teams as much as you love the Cowboys, because that's how the NFL works. Fans, it's like in baseball, college football. They get attached to one team so bad that they actually hate their rivals. And so you got to eliminate that. If you can't look at it objectively, you just eliminate it. Just don't ever bet on those teams.
Okay, so let's go back. Throwing Thunder put out there, it's the Vikings versus the Steelers this Thursday.
The Vikings versus Steelers. Okay, so the Steelers just came off a miraculous win. They got beat on the field and won on the scoreboard against the Ravens. The Ravens made a ton of mistakes. The Vikings are really good on offense. The Vikings tend to stay within one score. I don't think they've lost by more than one score all year. Okay, so I would say, I can't remember who's the home team. If the Vikings are at home, I'd like the Vikings in this game. If the Steelers are at home, and this is without my model or anything, guys, this is just my opinion. So my model may change my thoughts on this. The Vikings are at home, is what Waylon says. The Vikings playing the Steelers. Steelers coming off a big win. I think this is a lay-down spot for the Steelers. And I have a win total over bet on the Steelers. I think I bet on the beginning of the year the Steelers would get over 8 wins, and I actually think they'll lose to the Vikings this game. The Steelers have the better defense, but the Steelers' offense is anemic. It's a bad offense, and the Vikings can score points. I think the Vikings win this game 24-17.
There we go. We heard the pick, 24-17, Vikings.
Now, when I look at my model, it may change my whole mind. So if that's the case, I'll put it out on a short or something.
So Waylon's putting a message out there. Who you got on Bama and Cincinnati? So I'm assuming those are college.
It is. That's the Final Four playoff. That's the game one. It's 5 stars versus 3 stars and 4 stars. And Cincinnati doesn't even have the best quarterback. They have the second best quarterback in that game. And Cincinnati's quarterback's probably going to be the first quarterback taken in the draft. But he's the second best one in that game. Alabama is going to be better on every spot of the football field. And I know the spread is like 12.5 or 13. If it was me, what I would do is I would bet it both ways. I would bet Alabama minus the points, and then I would bet Alabama money line. So I would bet a bet that was like 75-25. So 75% of my money I'd put on Alabama to cover the spread, and 25% of my money I'd put on Alabama just to win, just in case they win and don't cover. So that
for
way,
all,
kind of
all of our craps fans out there, you can do a do we don't in sports betting.
Yeah. So it's kind of.
So I've got a question for you. The model, the spreadsheet model, and the website that you gave us. Will they give us college teams statistics also? Can you use the model?
College football reference. There's a college football reference too.
Okay. Is it going to be less accurate, I guess, than the NFL?
Yes. And the reason is, so I'll tell you why it won't work. Now, if you eliminated all the teams that aren't in conference and you only use the statistics from the teams in conference, so if you only used the Alabama and all the SEC statistics, but Alabama also played Mercer, and Mercer shouldn't even have football, but they do. It's like it's like so them statistics are obviously skewed, right? So Alabama probably threw for 500 yards on them, so it really messes the statistics up for that. Now, if you take and you eliminate all those non-conference games and you just take the SEC slate, it's more similar to the NFL then. It's closer, and you can use it then, but you could only use it essentially for equal type competition. Alabama playing Cincinnati, that would be like playing one of the middle schools in the SEC, so you could do it with those two teams. But Cincinnati's schedule on that hand, it's not comparable to Alabama's schedule. So Cincinnati's statistics are going to be skewed, right? They played weaker competition week in and week out than Alabama did. So the models for college football, they're way more in depth, and I don't have one. You have to be way more precise with them. Gotcha. And so, but that's why I don't really mess with it much. Now, these big games, I'll have bets on them, because I do have an opinion on them. Like I was right about Alabama beating Georgia. I said it on a video I made before the game. Someone asked me, and I told them, I said Alabama's going to win for these reasons, and they did. Georgia played a really weak slate this year and got a lot of attention for beating really bad teams. Alabama played a much tougher schedule, and so I just kind of knew that it would weigh that way. Plus, Alabama owns Georgia.
Nice. All right, we got a couple more coming in here. My friend Rob Downs from here in Kansas. He would like to know what your win percentage is this year on your NFL picks.
Okay, so that's a two-part question. So I start my computer model at week 4 because I got to have statistics, right? So I got to have 4 weeks of statistics before it'll work. So my percentage pre-week 4 is all opinion-based, knowledge-based picks. And then post-week 4 is almost all model picks. So post-week 4 model picks, I'm running at 59% right now, which is average. It's normal year in and year out. I did great. The week 1 and week 2, I can't remember. I was like 11-4 or something like that, week 1 and week 2. Week 3 was not the best. And week 4, I had COVID. And I only put out 4 picks and they all lost. But that was when I had COVID and I was just out of it. I wish I'd have never even put out picks. But, guys paid for it. I wanted to give them the information that I thought was right. But it was I should have never done it. And the guys would have understood because I was sick.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I messed
can remember.
up. And I really apologize to my people for that because I put out 4 bad picks. And the thing is once I got out of COVID, I was like, how did I go 0-4? I never go 0-4. Well, when I started looking, I was like, oh, you're a dummy. There was a lot of stuff that told me to not pick those things.
Wow. All right. Just a quick shout out to Sam I Am. Sam, thanks for watching, buddy. It's been a long time since I've talked to you also. I appreciate you checking in here. And then Kevin Turtles Midnight Craps. He says, Jacob is a great sports bettor. I worked with him last year. In Canada, we just allowed single bet wagers this year. Previously, everything was parlays. Don't ask him about hockey. So I got to ask you about hockey.
Well, I don't bet hockey.
Why not? Because you don't have an edge.
I don't know it well enough. There's edges in hockey. Most of the pros bet hockey. They say it's easy. I've just never got into it. But I do love hockey. I'd never bet on it. But yes, Turtle, man, we did good. I can't remember. He invested 200 in, I can't remember. I sent him back 350 or something like that. So that's a pretty good win, right?
Yeah.
Percentage-wise.
Okay, Bogies 12 is one to know, will you be doing baseball?
Yes, Bogies, I'm going to continue with the baseball this coming year. When it starts up, I'm going to have a whole different angle on it. I'm still going to use the same over and under system I was using. I've added to it. I've made it better. I've went through multiple years of checking to see how well it did year in and year out these last couple of years. But also, one of the other things with it is I've added in kind of a similar model to my pro football model on how to pick winners and losers team-wise.
Okay. Waylon Stanger wants to know, what's Tom Brady's chances of winning another Super Bowl?
Um,
And then a follow-up, Crap Master Jr. says, hopefully 0.
I would say since if Arizona gets home field advantage, which it looks like they may, they have a tough schedule from here on out, and I believe the Bucks only have one more tough. I think the Bucks only have one more tough game, and it's Buffalo.
Okay.
So I would say that Tampa Bay is going to get home field advantage, and I would say that they're probably going to win the Super Bowl. They're going to be healthy. Antonio Brown will be off his suspension. I really think their only legit competition, if they have home field, if everyone's got to go to Tampa, the only team that goes there and beats them, I feel, is you either got Arizona that could go and beat them, or I just don't think Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers doesn't win in the playoffs. He just doesn't, especially in the championship games. He just figures out ways to lose them. So I want to say Green Bay, but I really think Arizona, and it's down to Arizona and Tampa Bay, in my opinion. Now, and I'm going to throw this out as a caveat. If Dallas is fully healthy going into the playoffs, they could shock the world. They could. They're talented, but they got to be healthy. If they're not healthy, it's the same problem with the Bucks. If the Bucks are not healthy, it's Arizona's to lose because they're healthy. They got all their players back now, and they're dominant. They've only lost 2 games all year, and they're just good. So, but healthy, I think Tampa Bay's the best team. Fully healthy, Dallas is the second best team. Yeah, I'm talking about the NFC only here. Now, they'll probably end up playing the Chiefs, and I know people don't want to hear that. New England's been playing better, this and that, but the Chiefs are probably still going to get there. They're probably going to see the Bucks again, I would say. I would be surprised if it's not a rematch from last year.
Oh, that would be interesting. So if
Brady
it is a
just doesn't
rematch,
lose.
yeah, if it is a rematch, does Tampa Bay come out on top again?
Well, last year they got a big benefit of 2 of the offensive linemen for Kansas City being out. Do they come out on top this time? Yes, they win again. And the reason being is because the defense for the Chiefs is not good enough.
Okay.
That's why. Tom Brady will shred them. But I do think if you're going to bet on who wins the Super Bowl right now, the best money is probably the Cowboys, right? That's the best return. So because they're going to have they're not going to be the favorite. So if you're going to take a chance right now betting on who will win the Super Bowl, the Cowboys is your pick because they could get there and they could smash people because they're talented.
Yeah.
But that's just from an odds perspective, right? So it's like, how much can I get for my money? Because, I don't know what the the Buccaneers are, but it's going to be worse than what the Cowboys are.
Nice. Well, Jacob, that's it. That's all of the Q&A that we had for you this week. So, I really appreciate you taking time, and I know you had to scramble to find a spot to do the show. So,
It's okay, man.
Yeah. I think
But
you can see your caramel macchiato when you hand it up there.
Yeah. Someone did say, how do they invest?
Yeah, I saw that. Arnell was asking, how do you invest? And I was going to reach out to... Go
What
ahead.
I was doing before, I don't do no more. So like what I did for turtles and all that, I don't take people's bets anymore and make them for them. It got to be too hard. It got to be too much work. There was too much involved in it. And so I don't do that anymore. But if you're just talking about wanting to make your own bets, you can purchase them.
Yeah.
So, and when baseball comes along, and I'm going to put out a package in the NFL too, a new package. Now, the guys that have already bought the whole year, you got it. You ain't going to worry about it. But there's going to be a playoff package. And so a week before the playoffs, I'm going to put it up on the website, and you can purchase this playoff package. You'll get the whole playoffs, and I think I'm going to do it for $50. So you'll get everything in the playoffs, and it'll be the model, it'll be my pick, it'll be my opinions. You can call me and ask me questions. A lot of the guys text me during the game asking if because you can bet while the game's going on.
That's the prop bets you were talking about, right?
No, you can bet the winners and losers. It changes as the
really?
game's going. Yeah, it's live in-game betting. A lot of the guys do it. It's kind of like day trading, you know.
Okay. That
One
makes sense.
stock is going one way, and then so you're betting, is that stock going to keep going up, you know, team-wise? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's fun. In-game betting is fun, but God, it's risky.
So I'm going to put it out there, guys. If you have any last-minute questions for Jacob, now's the time to put them in the comments. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the recognition segment of the show.
Hold on, I want to do something before you do that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the things I don't know, maybe some of the older guys that have been around for the craps world here that has blown up, right? It's a lot bigger than it started. Some of the people that don't know, when I first started my channel, Dave was is the first person that ever was like, I want to meet you, Wager, and actually did. So like, I'll be honest, it was a little weird for me because I was like, why does this guy want to meet me? You know, I'm not special. And so, but anyways, we met at Kansas and he gave me a bunch of dice. I still have them. And we had a pretty good little time there. And I didn't invest. Dave, I want to apologize because I didn't invest the right time. I should have for what you did. You came there to see me. Now, I had my family with me and I had my brother. So I would love to have a second shot at this where it's just me and you.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I can have time to just hang out with you and be your guest.
I'd absolutely love that. So if you're ever back over in the Kansas Star area, just give me a call and we'll meet up.
Okay, so I am right now at the McDonald's in Wichita.
Are you really?
No.
The one McDonald's that we have in Wichita.
No, I'm just joking.
Yeah. So if you're ever back in this area, and now that you're back in Arkansas, I would like to talk to my wife about maybe going back to Tunica. I enjoy Tunica, so if I remember right, that's not too far of a drive for you.
Why don't we all go to Oaklawn and go to the horse races and everything? I'm actually setting up a little horse race meet with some other guys. It's still got all the casino stuff. Got the spas. It's in Hot Springs. The women got stuff to do.
Yeah.
We can watch the horses. We can play craps. We can bet on whatever.
Well, we'll have to see if we can make that happen. I would enjoy that a lot.
It's a lot nicer than Tunica.
Is it really? Wow. We'll have to give it a shot.
I mean, the casinos aren't better because Tunica has every kind of gambling. But the place is. Hot Springs is nicer.
Yeah. All right, Jacob,
Anyways,
man,
go
I
on
really
with your
appreciate that.
stuff.
Yeah, I do. All right, guys. So you know that one of the things that I've introduced here is a recognition segment, and I put it out there asking people to nominate people for recognition, and it could be for just about anything. And earlier or last week, Automan Kaz reached out to me and nominated somebody. Let's see if you can figure it out by this description. So this particular person that we're recognizing this week, he does live craps from home. He does bubble craps in the casino, as well as live craps in the casino. So he films and records both bubble craps and live craps. He has over 3,000 YouTube subscribers, and he hosts different kinds of challenges. And my own input on this, I believe he is the most interactive craps content creator on YouTube. You guys have any idea who I might be talking about? Oops, button didn't work. There we go. It's Big AZ Craps. He was nominated for recognition by Otman, if I can say it right, Otman Kaz. I just really want to say, Big AZ, thank you for doing everything that you do. You really do make this interactive. You bring everybody that you can into your channel. You have these fun challenges. You record live in the casinos. You're just the whole package, Big AZ. So on behalf of everybody in the craps community, we give you some recognition, and we appreciate having you out there. All right, before I let you go, let's take a quick update on what's coming up soon. Next Monday, we're going to be back on Monday, December 13th. It's a beginner's journey. We've got Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps going to be joining us, and he's going to talk about getting started playing dice. You know, a lot of us have been playing dice for several years, and we're going to hear from a beginner and see what challenges he might be facing, and see what advice we might be able to give him. And he's also going on a cruise this week, so he'll be fresh off of the boat and being able to give us an update on craps cruises. On December 20th, we're going to have a holiday special with Howard Newman. He's going to be back and to tell us a couple of stories. And then on December 27th, I don't have anything planned. I'm not sure I'm going to have a show that day or not. I'll keep you posted. It's right after Christmas. I might take that week off. Then skip all the way out to January 17th. Tony Leo is going to be back, and we're going to be talking about some games, not just craps, but we'll talk a little bit about baccarat, blackjack, roulette, pretty much anything that we want to talk about here. We'll bring it up. Now, I also have a shout out to, or not a shout out, but I have a request out to everybody. One of the hardest things about doing this show is actually getting guests and getting them scheduled. I've got a couple of guys that have agreed to be standby for me, so I can pull them in at a moment's notice. Ed Robinson is one of them, so thank you, Ed. I appreciate that. But if you would like to be on this show, if you have a topic that you think is going to be fascinating, reach out to me there at samebet777@gmail.com, and let's see if we can get you scheduled on the show. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week. I really do appreciate having you all along, and we'll talk to you next week.